good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon, everybody. It's almost 5 o'clock, and we have a very interesting conversation today. Call your friends to join us. Call your friends to join us right now. Call your friends. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everybody. It's a Sunday, another opportunity to learn, to grow, and become a better person. Call your friends, join us. Today we have a very interesting conversation. And as usual, we would like you to engage. We would like you to ask questions. So that we can make our conversation more rich. It's always rich when you engage. So call your friends, call your family, call everyone you know, your neighbors, and tell them that we are here ready and waiting to engage. We're talking today, we're looking at one case study of a country that decided to use AI to improve their public service. So I'll wait for you. Tell me who you are as you join so that I can welcome you properly. Tell me who you are as you join so that I can welcome you. It's a little bit cold in Johannesburg. It's raining. Welcome, welcome, welcome everyone. I can see there are a few people in the room. Tell me who you are, and then I can welcome you. I hope my friends from Namibia are in the room, or they come and join us today. Friends from Ghana, from Nigeria, from Bloemfontein, from everywhere across the continent. I hope you can join us today. Tell me where you're joining us from. Tell me where you're joining us from, then I can welcome you properly. Let's see, Brian. Good afternoon, Brian Simelani. Brian, tell me where you're at. Welcome. It's good to have you with us. Tell me where you're joining me from, Brian. Let's see if there are other people. We'll wait, as usual, we'll wait a little bit. And of course, today is the 15th of November, and therefore the last day of submitting nominations for the Make Education Fashionable Convocation 2005 awards. So if you are still thinking of nominating someone, do so before the end of today, because from tomorrow, judging happens. The judges have been appointed. It's an international panel of judges, a different team of judges for each category, and we have 5 categories. The 6th category is the one for the most inspiring story online that will be published on the 5th, Friday the 5th of December. On Friday the 5th of December, that's the day we'll be sharing our stories of inspiration on our social media pages, and you use hashtag Make Education Fashionable, and you tag me on that. You tag me on that, and we'll be looking at the stories, how the traction has been. You share as widely as possible. We'll look at all the social media platforms. We'll look at TikTok, Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram, and we'll look at the story that has had the most traction. So which means if you're on all the platforms, we'll notice that it's the same person, and we'll count all of that. And the story has to be compelling and inspirational. So we'll choose the most inspirational story. And the winner of that award, and it's money prize, remember, will be announced at the Make Education Fashionable Convocation. So we will not know until that day. The other awards, Entrepreneurship, Youth Entrepreneur of the Year, Agriculture, AI Champion, Mathematical Sciences, and African Development Research. All of those, you have to submit the nominations. Their last day is today. And the judges, we've briefed the judges already, we've done with criteria, and the judges will be looking at the nominations, and they will be individually making their decisions, and then there will be a moderator for each of the categories, bringing all the views of the judges together and selecting the winner. No one will know who the winners are until the day of the convocation. We will make sure that all the nominees are at the award ceremony. We're getting tickets for you. You just have to get your flights to Johannesburg, to Pretoria, and get your way to Pretoria just in case you win, because we'll announce on that day. That's the day we'll be announcing the winners. We won't tell you before time. This is big because there's 150,000 rands worth of prizes to be won. So I hope you can be there, and I hope you have bought your tickets to the convocation, and come and witness this amazing night together with us on the 6th of December at Pearson Boutique Hotel in Pretoria, and we've got an amazing speaker. Okay, the first citizen of the city will be our keynote speaker, the amazing Dr. Moya. We didn't just ask her because she's the first citizen of the city. We asked her because her academic story is inspiring, and her work in the city is also inspiring. That's why we asked her to welcome us to the city and to give us a keynote address. We also have a surprise keynote for the day. And of course, I hope to meet you, briefly, each one of you, to have an in-camera meeting with you, just to meet and greet, to take pictures, and who knows, you'll meet all the many other people who are interested in good connections. People always ask, where do you meet good people today if you don't meet them on Facebook? Well, you can meet good people at the Make Education Fashionable Convocation. They are educated, they are driven, they are focused, and you can meet them at the convocation. Right, so come to the convocation, buy your ticket. And I know that the tickets are by what degree you are at. But don't worry, we will not separate you. If you come with your partner, your wife, one has got a doctorate, the other has got a bachelor's, you'll sit together. Don't you worry. Okay? Don't you worry. It will be free seating. You'll sit with your person. It's just the tickets. We've got to differentiate them in that way. And there'll be someone. We're looking for a young person who does business with renting out of regalia. We'll have them on the day, and they'll be renting out regalia. So if you don't have your regalia, don't you worry. There'll be someone renting out regalia. We're supporting a small business person, a young person who's hustling to make a living by renting out graduation regalia. And they'll be there and doing this. We won't call big names and companies that get all the deals in universities. We want organized young people. Okay, so if you're renting out gowns, slide into my DMs, make me aware, and we'll make sure that we invite you to come and do your business, and people can rent gowns from you. Okay, so that's about the Make Education Fashionable convocation happening on the 6th of December. Come and join us. Brian is in Johannesburg, rainy Johannesburg. I'm in Johannesburg too today, Brian. Charlene Tuli, welcome Charlie from Middleburg. Afternoon, everyone. Okay, people are a little bit cold today, so let me say, if you don't know where to buy your ticket to come to the Make Education Fashionable Convocation, you just go to any of my social media pages. In my bio, you'll get a link. If you click there, it will take you to the ticket. If you're buying for someone, or you're buying for people you don't know who you can just write your name only. To include all of that, and people will get emails notifying them that you bought. Either the emails will come to you and you'll send them to whoever. If you want me to distribute them, you buy the tickets in your name, you send them to me. Ask for my email, I'll give it to you, and then you just send them, or you just send them to info@perspicuity.africa, and they will get there and we will distribute them. We've started already distributing some free tickets. Professor Chioma, thank you very much for joining us from Nigeria. Always a pleasure to have you. Thank you so much for joining us from Harcourts University in Nigeria. Okay, so today is an interesting day. We are focusing today on improving public services through AI, and we are using Estonia as a case study. All right, and I want to start by actually say to you, of course, I will not be handling this session alone. I'll be handling this session with Sylvester and Sechaba. All of you know Sylvester. I'll introduce you to Sechaba right now. I'm going to ask them to join us as they hear me talk, because what we're going to do, we're going to start with a short history of the internet and how governments across the world came into the game of service delivery through tech. In short, we'll talk about the digitization of public service, how it has happened across the world. Okay, it's because different countries has taken to this differently. So Sylvester will give us that. And after that, I will get on to explain to you why we are focusing today on Estonia. Okay, why is Estonia an interesting case to focus on, right? And then we'll move on to introduce Sechaba, who will then take us through the case of Estonia. And of course, Sechaba is our scholar today, and he will take us through the case. He will tell us where we're getting the info from. We'll acknowledge all the academic work that's been done in this area. But it's important that we have this conversation in this way. Sechaba will give us then the story of Estonia, and then Sylvester will then tell us what's happened in South Africa. All right, we'll have an engagement throughout, of course, as usual, and then we will of course continue to ask you questions or invite your questions as we go along. All right. So Sechaba and Sylvester, where you are at, feel free to join me. I'm ready to welcome you into the room. Whilst everyone is here. So as soon as Chaba and Sylvester join me, I will get on to ask them to do their work. Let me see in the meantime. Agnes Mafaisa. Agnes, welcome. Agnes, you sound like you are from Garangua, Agnes Mafaisa. But anyway, sounds like a surname from home. So welcome, Agnes. Good to see you. Abigail Siabela, welcome. Abigail has withdrawn her message, but that's okay. Sylvester, welcome. Sylvester is in the room, and we'll get just now. Sechaba will join us. Gabriel Konayuma is joining us from Lusaka, Zambia. Thank you so much, Gabriel. I hope you nominated some people in Zambia for the awards, and I hope we get to see you in South Africa as well. Abigail Siabela joining us from Pretoria. Joel Matiba, welcome. Dumelang Joel from Pretoria, good to have you. Let's see, Sechaba is about to join us. So whilst Sechaba is joining us, let me guys, you know Sylvester by now. Sylvester is our resident AI enthusiast. He's either talking to me online or he's making contributions on the YouTube session as we speak every week. As you know, he answers your questions. Sylvester keeps up to date with the debates. Sylvester does work online. So Sylvester is our enthusiast that everyone knows. Let's welcome Sechaba, and I'll introduce Sechaba to you. Sechaba is also usually also online, also making contributions online, asking questions and so on. So today I'm with two enthusiastic young people. It's my best time. So let me introduce Chaba because it's the first time that you've seen Chaba. Yes, Chaba, of course, is a member of the FEB academic family. He's a mentee in the FEB academic mentorship program. But besides that, Chaba is an engineer. Okay, he completed his BE Eng from University of Pretoria, and then he of course, it was in mining. Okay, he started his career in mining and recently transitioned into a new field within the insurance market, and he's furthering his studies at UJ. But we are not about that. So you get a sense that I'm talking to people who are engaged, who are enthusiastic. Then you'll understand why Chaba is our academic analyst today, who will be unpacking the paper for us. Chaba, welcome. Sylvester, welcome. I've already told people that we are going to start with just a brief history of the internet and how governments across the world came into the game of service delivery through tech. And I'm going to ask Sylvester to do that for us. Chaba, as usual, feel free to ask Sylvester questions if there are any. Sylvester, I'll ask you, and you online, feel free to ask questions as well. Remember, this is going to be brief. From then on, then I will tell you why we are specifically focusing on Estonia. Okay, I'll give you just a description of Estonia, and then from there we'll hand over to Chaba, who will unpack the work that Estonia did, what worked, what didn't work, and so on. And then Sylvester will come back to give us also an input on what's happened in South Africa, so that we get a sense what's happening elsewhere, but also what's been happening here. Okay, so Sylvester, let's start with just a brief history of how governments across the world sort of went into the wave, on the tech wave, to improve service delivery.
Thank you. Greetings once again to you and to your viewers, Kati. Thank you for having me on today. As I always say, I don't take this for granted. And your audience is quite an esteemed group of people. It's always a pleasure and an honor to address them. So I think for the sake of brevity, I'll just start with the internet starting in 1989 up until today, focusing on the major leaps in technology that gave us the internet as we have it today. So the internet, as we know, as most of us know it and experience it, began in 1989 with the invention of the World Wide Web. A gentleman by the name of Tim Berners-Lee was working at CERN then, Switzerland, and he saw that the internet could best be accessed as a series of hyperlinks. So people would create pages, create hyperlinks between them, and the entire infrastructure would give us what you call the World Wide Web today. So the American government was the first one to open up their web page, I think, in 1993. And what that started was what we today know as Web 1.0, or the first iteration of the World Wide Web. The World Wide Web, at least the first iteration, collapsed somewhere around 1999 with what we call the dot-com bust, which is when most technology companies lost their money and people started wondering if this thing was really worth it. This is important because AI today is, people are asking the same questions of whether we're in a bubble or not, and whether we're going to be disappointed or not. Around about the same time, economists such as Paul Krugman predicted that in less than 5 years, we will the internet would be a thing of the past, and we will have moved on from it. We know today that it was wrong. So then around 1999, Google came up, and Google became the face of Web 2.0, which is the second iteration of the World Wide Web, where people now had more control. It centered more around social networks, which looked at the participation of people. Unlike WW 1.0, The first iteration of the World Wide Web was just a series of static pages. But after that, it became much more interactive. You could interact with it. That's how Facebook now became a big thing, because now we can interact, you can send emojis, websites are becoming alive. And so governments started seeing the potential to bring citizens into their space through that framework. Then around 2008, a gentleman by the name of Satoshi Nakamoto wrote a paper which described the emergence of crypto and blockchain. And from that, we started having the foundations for what we would call the third iteration of the World Wide Web, Web 3.0. So today we're still trying to grapple with the idea of Web 3.0 and what it means. Most of us, when we hear of blockchain or crypto, we only think of Bitcoin. But blockchain is much more than that. You can build on it. You can make contracts that are immutable. That means that if you are selling me a house on blockchain and we sign the contract, that contract is permanent. I mean, the record of the contract can be permanent. No one can change it. And that's especially good for places where there are risks of war or dictatorial takeovers, say. If you own a house and today, maybe tomorrow, there's a civil war, you are displaced, you have to move, you can come back 50 years later and you've got an immutable record of that transaction. And so all of these, as they unfold, they give us layers upon which we can build an internet that works for everyone. And another thing with Web 3.0 is decentralization. Unlike Web 2.0, where companies such as Google and Facebook were owning your data, now you can actually own your data because they are decentralized. The data does not have to be stored at some proprietary data center somewhere. They can be stored on your computer, on mine, decentralized across a whole network of people. And so that's the promise of Web 3.0. This promise was given a further boost by the emergence of generative AI in 2017, when researchers at Google Labs wrote a paper called "Attention is All You Need." Now, if anyone is watching today, they just go onto their browser and Google "Attention is All You Need." It will take them to what we today refer to as the Transformer paper. So that paper laid out the Transformer architecture, which is a new way of building neural networks that could allow us to have now the likes of ChatGPT, Claude. In fact, ChatGPT is short for generative pre-trained transformer. So ChatGPT is a transformer, Claude is a transformer. Whenever I speak to people and I tell them that my company is called Transformer Business Labs, they think that I'm talking about electricity. But I'm actually talking about generative AI technology. So basically, these are the 4 layers. This is the short history of the World Wide Web. And I think, I hope that as Chaba makes his presentation, I think we're going to be able to tease out some of these technological differences, especially as nations try to build a responsive AI framework that's responsive to their citizens.
Thank you, Sylvester. So I think we've got an idea, just broad idea of the history of the internet. But here's the thing: you might be sitting here. Why are we looking at public service? How we can improve public services through AI? Well, we all complain about the slow service that we get as members of the public. And as we talk about AI here to make us more efficient, as we work with it, we humans work with it collaboratively. We asked ourselves, we can tell you how to help your child with homework, we can help you how to organize yourself better at work, But we should also ask questions. How can this tool help us get served better? How can it help our cities serve us better, our country, our province? How can it help them serve us better? And that's why we looked at one country. Now, we chose Estonia. Okay, and why Estonia? We chose Estonia because Estonia, together with Denmark, Singapore, these are the first countries to lead in digitization. These countries invested early in digital infrastructure, in government services, and technology adoption. And so we felt, let's go for one country that has done that. Estonia, as I said, together with Denmark and Singapore, they are recognized as pioneers due to their innovative digital government services and nationwide digital strategies. In Estonia, unlike Denmark and Singapore, Estonia was the first country to implement internet voting in a parliamentary election and has become famous for its comprehensive e-governance system and digital identity for citizens. That's why we chose Estonia. We recognize that countries are different. Okay, Estonia is not like us. It's got a different culture, different population, and so on. As we recognize all of that, but we also know that learning happens from everywhere else. But where is Estonia? Estonia is a country in the Baltic region, in Northern Europe. Okay, so Estonia is there in Northern Europe, and it shares land borders with Latvia and Russia. Latvia is towards the south, and Russia is towards the east. So that's where they share land borders. But it also lies across the Gulf of Finland, from Finland to the north, and across the Baltic Sea, from Sweden to the west. So these are countries that are next to Estonia, just in case you're wondering, where is this Estonia? And of course, Estonia is of interest today because it has become an example to the global community of a nation that has decided to experiment with AI in governance and the facilitation of public services. And we sat and asked ourselves, couldn't this work for African countries? But to be able to engage with that question, we need to understand how did it work for Estonia, and then ask questions, what has one African country, South Africa, done? And what does it mean for the rest of other countries? Of course, the population of Estonia is very small. So I don't want you to sit there and start Googling and start finding criticism as to why we shouldn't look at Estonia. Let me tell you, we are aware that the population of Estonia is very small, about 1.4 million, which is very small, smaller than Soweto if you like. But so is Lesotho, so is Swaziland. Okay, so there are many countries that are just as small, all right? They are just as small, but they don't deliver as much as Estonia. And so we can't just dismiss Estonia and say because it's small, we don't have to listen. We have to ask, so why is Swaziland not doing it? Why is Lesotho not doing it? Why is, Botswana not doing it, okay? But also, why is the city of Johannesburg not doing it? Why is the city of whatever municipality, Ekurhuleni municipality, not doing it? We could ask all of those questions. So don't dismiss. When you hear examples of success elsewhere, the best way to approach examples of success is to look at what made it happen. Why did it happen? And is it possible that it could happen for us? Okay, those are the questions that we'll be asking. What are the key things that made it happen? Okay, rather than what are the reasons why you should dismiss the case? We are not dismissing the case. Okay, now we're taking an academic approach to this because we want to understand better what got Estonia where it is. And so I'm going to hand over to Schaba to sort of sketch the history of Estonia, the journey, the digital journey or the e-journey of Estonia, so that we understand better. Schaba, over to you. And as I can see as you are joining, there's a few people who joined us. I see Queen Vivi is online with us. Queen Vivi, always good to have you. And there's a distinct mentor. Distinct mentor says to add, Web3 also started enabling the Internet of Things on a bigger scale, allowing more devices to interact and communicate with each other. Thank you very much, Distinct Mentor. I think one day, Sylvester, should have you with Distinct Mentor online, because Distinct Mentor comments quite a lot, and I've never met him. So it would be great to have him on the line with you to give an update. Thank you, Queen Vivi. You are so right, Prof. Let's learn from Estonia and adapt South Africa and so on. And Chioma says, amazing insight. So, Stab, I'm going to hand over to you so that you take us through the journey of Estonia, and then we engage from there, because we're working with a community of people online who are open-minded, who are willing to hear success stories, and we can unpack what we can learn from them. Over to you, Stab.
Okay. No, thank you to everyone on the platform, Prof. Mamacheti, and thank you, Sylvester, as well. Yeah, it's been a good session having with you, and finally the session. And yeah, I really do appreciate the opportunity. And like what Sylvester has said, I know that the members of Fab Academy, are fantastic individuals who are into continuous learning. Okay, so to start off with the session, it's for us to give acknowledgement to a paper that was released on the 20th of May 2024. And that paper is titled Navigating the AI Maze, Lessons from Estonia Bureaucrat, and apologies if I don't mention it correctly, on public sector AI digital transformation. The paper is by 4 authors: Richard Drayling, Keegan McBride, Tanel Tamet, and Igrid Papel. So we need to give credit to them. And the country itself runs a website called eestonia.com. So if you want to go further into investigating and researching the country, you can do so by yourself without having to have access to an academic journal. You can go and look at eestonia.com. Okay. So the first questions that we need to look into is, the reason for the paper was to answer 2 fundamental questions. What factors influence the technological and organizational architecture of public sector organizations implementing AI-embedded e-services? I know it sounds like a mouthful, but in essence what they're saying is, what are the factors that require us to deliver public services using AI? And then the second research question was, how can public sector organizations target a digital transformation, facilitate the adoption of AI-embedded services? So this question is linked to the creator of the service and the end user. Okay. So as we go further through the paper, what it does in summary is that it looks at the attitudes of the individuals that have to use the service, because the population is made out of youth and the elders, and the young individuals. And the young individuals are known as Alpha Zero because of the Alpha. They're known as the Alpha generation. Apologies for saying Alpha Zero. The Alpha generation because they grew up on phone screens, and the old generation had to go from manual to mechanical to digital to cyber, and then you've got us in the middle, because I'm a millennial. So I'm not really attuned to the mechanical side of things, but I'm more attuned to the digitization side of things. And what they do in the study, they look at the attitudes of the youth versus the elders. And what they have discovered is that in facilitating such a thing, you will see that the youth has a more likingness towards the government in terms of trusting them with their data, whereas the elders in Estonia have a likingness or a favor towards the private sector, right? And what they've also identified is that there are certain attitudes that individuals have towards AI or applications per se. You will find a more likeliness of individuals who will gladly download TikTok, but they will hesitate to download an app that can help them with the facilitation of public services. Okay, so that's the whole background around the academic paper. And from there, we can go into the timeline of how Estonia was able to bridge the gap and get to where they are right now. Okay, and to do that, I'm going to share my screen so that there's a visual representation of what I'm communicating. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna request that
Yes.
you communicate if you can see my screen.
I'm gonna do that. Have you?
Let's just see.
You should tell me if you have already shared.
Okay, I'll inform you just now.
Yeah. I just need to manage it from the side. Let's see.
Only made me the spotlight.
Have I?
Yes,
let
you
me
put
just-
Sylvester on the spotlight.
Sorry, Sylvester, man. Okay, how about now?
Yeah.
We can see it. Fantastic.
Is it in presentation mode?
Yes,
or is
Estonia timeline we can see.
Okay.
I
So
don't
we're
think
gonna.
it's in presentation
Yeah,
mode,
you
but
can put it on presentation mode on your side because we
Okay,
can see
but-
your other slides.
Okay, that's okay. So as an example, you have the development phases and execution in the timeline. So this whole thing actually started in 2001, so roughly 2001, 2002, where they developed a platform called X-Road.
Wait, just a minute. I think, okay. So Sylvester, Schaba, what we are seeing is the opening page that says is Estonia timeline. Is that what you want us to see? Okay, now you are there. Can you click presentation mode? Then we won't see the other side. Yeah, do that. Let's see. You can see your mouse, your cursor is there. Click the
Yeah, I did.
presentation mode. Did you? Okay.
I have, yeah.
Okay, that's
and-
fine. I'm seeing all the other stuff, but I guess maybe that's just me. I don't know. That's okay. That's okay. You go on.
Okay.
Yeah, because we
So-
can see the important slide of development phases and execution. We can see that.
Okay.
And we can see
I'll
Antonio.
I'll do
with
this.
presenting Teams is just to your right hand corner. There's a button that says presenting
Presenting
Teams. I don't
Teams.
know what.
Let me just see. Yeah, no, if I do that, then it wants me to save it, I guess.
Yeah, but don't worry, we'll still see it. So I mean, I know we can get it all on the screen, but but we can see it. By the way, even I can see it with my eyesight, so
Okay.
it can't be too bad. You will just have to scroll up as you go along because I can see you've made it bigger, and so we don't
Yes,
see
I
the
have,
whole.
and I'll
yeah,
just go down.
yeah.
Yeah. So the timeline started roughly between 2001 and 2002, where they did like an X-Road platform that was launched to secure data and exchange backbone. So they were trying to secure or test out the security of information that's being shared to the government. And then from there, they went into the inputting of a digital signature within your ID card, so that when you are registered in a hospital or whatever the case may be, your information can be shared amongst the different departments of the government. And then what they did is they looked into cybersecurity and cyber attacks, and look at NATO, which was a defense center which was established. From there, they went into a global digital identity, and they really then started to say, okay, fine, let's have a first pilot and ensure that the facilitation of the pilot is going to be adopted, it can be used, and it can be facilitated. And then from there, they, in essence, had a epiphany to say, okay, fine, if we are going to go through the digital approach and the AI approach, we need to create a system of being able to minimize the amount of attacks on the system and to prove safe it and make sure that it's ethical and that the government can use it in an ethical manner. And from there, they went into a half of local election voting, or the start of the voting process using AI. So 2019, 2020, 2021, they were testing out the voting of, for government using AI. And now where they are in 2025 is that they're using the entire framework for the facilitation of AI. voting and public service providing. Okay, so if you just let me know if you can see the response to the electronic voting.
Yes, we can.
Okay, so with the response to the electronic voting, as you can see, in 2005, when they implemented it, only 2% of the population was interested in doing it. In 2007, 5.5, and this was at a parliamentary level. And then 2011, 24.3. And as you can see, there's a natural curve that's just increasing over time. And by 2017, with local government, it was at 31.7. And then we reached the peaks. And it's not, I don't personally think it's coincidental that the peak was also at COVID time.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a sense that the attitude of the citizens changed, because then it's difficult to go to public services. You still need to vote. So how do we make it happen? Fortunately, Estonia was way ahead of the curve, and therefore citizens was like, okay, you know what? In any case, I need to vote. So it went up to 44, and because of those results, now that it had become habitual, by the time you get to 2023 and 2024, you have the highest individuals participating in online voting. Okay, and what we can see from this is that Estonia never stopped communicating to people that you are now going to be strictly doing things electronically or online. They still gave people the choice to say, you want to do it online or do you want to do it using the e-space? Yes.
Yeah.
I'm just going to stop sharing my screen here, because these are the only visual representations that I required.
Yeah. Of course, this is just an example of the take up. It was with the voting, and of course, Estonia, as I said earlier, is leading in terms of managing voting electronically like this. But I'm sure there are other public services that they are managing using AI, right, Shaba?
Yes, that's correct. So if you look at what their main objective was that they wanted zero bureaucracy, so elimination of red tape.
Yeah.
They wanted to initiate and take government on an AI basis. They wanted to personalize the government, bring the government to the people, so that individuals become stakeholders of the government. And they wanted real-time improved public services that is data-driven. So the decision-making that's happening is going to be data-driven. And in Estonia, they have a one submission or once only submission policy. And what that means is, if I submit my data in one platform, let's say Home Affairs, I don't need to submit it at SAPC, I don't need to submit it, it goes across. And later on, you'll find out which services are not part of this, but normally standardized human information can be only submitted once. And so to answer your question, the benefits of all of this is that you can identify the needs of the citizens and upskill them to avoid unemployment. So ahead of time, the government can tell you and say, in the field that you're in, these are the new things that are happening. You might want to actually adopt them. And you can identify any company tax gaps and tax compliance, because that's also another thing that people struggle with. Even though, yes, we have a website, it is good for the government to also tell you, look, you might not be compliant, so we give you X amount of days, please make sure that you are compliant. AI fluency, which is something that Fab Academy has already taken up as a trend and as a platform, and Estonia has been doing it since 2001. So AI fluency and digitization, as well as in general, technology fluency is required, and that's what they do on the service.
So, Shaba, tell me here. So, if I've got my data at Home Affairs, right, when I applied for whatever, I guess from the time I'm born, a child is born, the Home Affairs will have their data and have the data keeps growing with them. I mean, so if they go to hospital, there'll be data on all their immunizations and so on and so forth. If they pass matric, does it go in there as well? It keeps growing that way. If I buy a house, so the data keeps growing. So whether I go to the hospital or not, the hospital can still pick it up on the system because it's an e-country system.
That is correct. However, the only difference is you mentioned one thing, which was the property division.
Yeah.
So the Estonia platform and the government in and of itself doesn't allow individuals to do three particular things on their service. So you can't get married, you cannot get divorced, and you cannot purchase nor sell property. And the reason for this is because these particular pointers require deeply personal and high stake information and is linked and clinged to legal matters and needs to be managed with care. And therefore, and it's so robust in its change that the once only submission policy is going to be difficult to enforce, because how many people are getting married, how many of them are getting divorced, how many people are selling their houses, how many people, you know. So that's the only three matters that they haven't included in their system.
So it will not track that I bought a house, but can it track my place of residence, whether I bought a house or not?
Yes, that it can do. So it can track the fact that you have changed locations and inform you typically what are the nearest public services that you can use, and because you've relocated now.
If I move to Hammanskraal, it will tell me of services around Hammanskraal where I've moved to. It will tell me if there are by-elections. It will tell me if there's a leak in some pipe or there's a water cut that's happening.
Exactly, and you can get to know information such as your ward councillor, your ward number, your voting station, if you're still of the type of individual who says, I want to physically go to my voting station. So it will let you know that your voting station is this one. Okay. And I want to go back to the question you asked about education. So typically, in my experience, when I was in high school, you had class A, class B, C, D, and so forth, right? And within every single classroom, you would have a variation of student capability.
Yes.
And you'd find that the teacher doesn't have enough time to actually pay attention to the students that need the attention, because the A student doesn't need the attention. It's the D and the E student that need attention, so that you can build them up so that they can be in proximity in their ability to the A student. So one of the benefits of this platform is that it does educational optimization. So the government will pick up and say, look, your child is actually struggling in school, and we suggest these programs to ensure that they can improve, and then they link it to the school that they go to, and they put the child on a program, and they make sure that the E and D student approximates the A student.
So the Estonia would tell me as a parent in Estonia that my child in school is struggling and so on. It wouldn't be the school necessarily, or it's because of the data that the school is putting for the child in their system.
That is correct. And what that does is it makes the teacher-parent relationship very close. And we don't detach the parent from the teacher, where we say, okay, fine, we pay the school and we present the child to the school, I expect X results. In that way, it's a partnership between the parents and the teachers, and the teacher doesn't feel overloaded to say, I feel like I'm responsible for the future of this child, and because the parent has paid school fees, they kind of have absolved themselves from the output of education. So it closes that gap.
I want us to go to Sylvester, but this is an interesting case. Here in South Africa, we've got licenses expiring and whatever, and you don't know until you look closely at your license card, a driver's license card. But actually, if we had that system, you'd probably get a prompt that says your license is expiring, you've got to go and renew. If
that is correct.
Something like that. And we know how these things helped us with load shedding, to know whatever, when you could just go to the app and you knew what was going on. So I guess with education, with our own management of ourselves, with engaging with the politics, with the voting, all of that can be very useful. I can imagine in Estonia that's very useful to them, right?
That is correct, yes.
Sylvester, tell us then, has there been any attempt in South Africa? Of course, on the platform, Professor Chioma mentioned the point. Wonder why African countries don't want to be transparent about their elections using these digital technologies. We do need credibility in our elections. And I can imagine that elections may be controversial for governments to start with because of whatever rumors that go around that there's rigging or whatever. But I'm just thinking, even if it's not elections, just with saving us the things that you are mentioning, Chaba, that would be very useful to us as citizens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sylvester?
Yeah. That's a brilliant question. I don't know if you'd allow me to ask Chaba one or two questions because
Yes.
you made some really impressive points.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm impressed by the approach to education. I think this will resonate with most parents and all of us generally, because the performance of a child is not determined exclusively within the classroom.
Not true.
And we like to pretend that it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, whereas there are a whole host of things that surround the life of the child that ultimately present themselves in the classroom, in the results. And I think that's like, nutrition, how is the home situation. There's a professor at UP would ask if a child actually has a study desk at home. If you don't have those things, I mean, those seem to be simple things, but if the government can track that and then direct social assistance to the children based on the information that they have, and if most of that would be automated, I think that would be a game changer in our context. Wouldn't you say so?
Yeah, no, I agree with you 100%, because like I said, it then leads that the output of the child is a three-way street. It's the parent, it's the educator, it's the child itself. Actually, four, because then it's also the government.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then we also, it aligns the output so that we are creating citizens that are there to provide African solutions to African problems. Yeah.
Okay, one other question before I answer. I go to Prof's question. So you say that marriage, divorce, and
Property.
transfer
Really,
of
property, yeah.
Purchasing, even just purchasing of property.
Yeah.
Yeah, purchase and transfer. Yeah. So you're saying those are excluded from the Estonia. But I can understand why they would be excluded, because there's basically 2 points to this. There's the actual event where, let's say, people are getting married, and then there's a record of that which has to be kept somewhere.
Yeah.
So the conclusion of the agreement itself may happen offline, so to speak. But I imagine that the record of that marriage will be stored somewhere on their systems, preferably using blockchain. Because if you're using blockchain to capture transactions, and then those transactions cannot be reversed because the transactions are immutable, then it means that I could steal someone's identity, say, get myself married to them, and then there would be nothing that they could do about it. The marriage cannot be annulled. Right? I can divorce a person, the person legally, but I cannot annul the marriage, which is another thing.
Yeah.
And that's what needs to happen in this case.
Yeah.
So in that sense, I can follow their logic.
Yeah. And what they're trying to prevent. Yeah, it can be chaos real quick. But yeah.
Yeah, clearly. Okay, Prof.
Yeah.
You had asked me a question. Okay, the history, our
Like,
own attempt.
what have we done? Have we had any attempts? How close are we? And as I say, I don't want us to be sidetracked by elections, because that could be a sensitive issue for politicians and why they are not interested in it. But in terms of service delivery, I don't understand, because this could be a game changer in terms of improving service delivery in our country. Has there been any attempts?
Yeah, there have been multiple attempts. I think the one that stands out will be the Home Affairs contract that was awarded to Gijima back in 2008. Now, Gijima is a software development company. It's one of the largest black-owned company in the world, and they have a good track record. And so they were awarded what was at the time the biggest public sector contract to upgrade the Home Affairs system, to take everything online, to create digital identities of people. And this was ahead of the World Cup. But then the original size of the contract, if my memory serves me well, was 2.1 billion rands. But then scope creep happened, and the project now ballooned into a 4.5 billion rand cost, and they were not able to finish on time. They were sued by the Home Affairs. They had to go for mediation, and in the end, to the best of my knowledge, they had done some work, but they did not complete the entire work. But Home Affairs was really the one department where we needed something like this. It's not the only one. There are others, such as the e-Natis platform, which is where you can renew your driver's license, apply for it, and so on. And then there's another one in the health department where the government is digitizing all of our records. And it's easy to see why. If I'm in Karangua today, I'm feeling well, I travel to Cape Town tomorrow, I start feeling sick, the doctors need to access my medical records. So if everything is digitized, they can easily, they don't have to go fetch a file somewhere, so that the benefit of that is obvious. But as with the Gijima contract, we don't really have a good track record of delivering projects of this scope on time and within budget. So that poses a question of, whether we can really deliver on these projects, how much it will take. But it's clear that it has to be done. In fact, this morning I was listening to a presentation by Mr. Xolile George, who is the secretary to the parliament in South Africa. It was an international panel of parliamentarians. And he made some good points about where the government wants to take us. Maybe I can just read a few of those points. I'm using Notebook LM.
Okay.
So he says that AI is being considered for interpretation services, which is particularly relevant as South Africa has 12 official languages. So what they're saying is, AI will interpret everything in your own language. You'll be able to listen. You'll be listening. There'll be a parliamentary session in English, but it will get down to you in your own language. Accessibility of proceedings, record production efficiency, where you are looking at how AI capability can inform standard operating procedures to reduce the turnaround time of producing records. So it's a whole laundry list here, but basically the government of SA is looking into how AI can bring parliamentary proceedings and procedures closer to the people, help us as citizens to have a closer proximity to how the government functions. So it's encouraging that they are looking into it, but whether we can actually deliver on projects such as this, I don't know.
I mean, it's interesting, Sylvester, that you said Home Affairs started and then the Department of Health and e-Natis. Couldn't it be that when they start with the Home Affairs saving our data like that, I mean, is there a connection now between Home Affairs and the data in the hospital? Because what I'm getting from the Estonia is that all of this connection. There isn't, this isolation. You do that, and there's this Home Affairs standing alone and so on. It won't be useful if that's the case,
Yeah.
So, I mean,
Yeah, that's true. But well, that was actually one of the objectives, and I think that objective was achieved by and large, because now, if you need to register your company, if you need to do anything, for the most part, the government will want you to input the system will want you to input your ID, and then it will check with the Home Affairs database. So the database is actually available to most government functions.
Okay.
So they use a cross-reference method where they send you an OTP, and of course they've got your cell phone number because you've recorded your phone somewhere. So there's a lot of fidelity in this space now. There's a lot that should happen, because you can see that there's many immigrants. Every year you hear about how some Home Affairs official has been selling fake documents to illegal migrants and so on. So we still have a lot of work to do around that. But in terms of government departments communicating with one another, where our personal data is concerned, they've largely done well, I think.
Okay.
I think we're on the right path.
Yeah. Shaba, before we go, let's, when I started with this thing, I said sometimes successes of these things, whether, digitalization or using AI to improve public service, usually there's factors that make it happen. And it seems to me, of course, leadership was key in Estonia. But what happened with the public sector employees? I mean, and if we were to adopt what they did, what will happen to the public sector employees? Will they become unemployed? Did that happen in Estonia? Should we be worried?
So the answer is no, you should not be worried if you're a government employee in the public sector, and that the approach that typically people think about is human, obsolescence or unemployment. Instead of looking at that, you should be looking at human augmentation. And what that means is that you will be laterally shifted into management, supervision, and improving the AI systems. You would then be required to upskill yourself so that you develop strategic models and perform data analytics. You would be involved in honing in your AI ethics, mentality, and policy implementation. And actually, if you're a ward councillor, etc., you would get more ground time. And what I mean by that is you'd actually walk and be amongst the people that you're governing, listen to the issues on the ground, have one-on-one conversations with them instead of being behind your desk and being occupied by administrative tasks, because then Estonia would solve that for you, so you can actually engage with the citizens.
Okay, that's useful. Sylvester, you want to say something?
Yeah, that's actually useful. I know for a fact that almost every teacher is burdened with just reporting, writing files. And I know of one teacher who comes back from work with reams and reams of paper. Apparently, they have to, fill in what they've done, the lesson plans, the whatever, and they have to submit. And that's such arduous work. And it takes away from the actual work of teaching,
Absolutely.
Engaging with the kids. So if you could have something like that, something that's comprehensive. So there's a lot of problems to be solved in this field. The question is whether we want the government to solve all of this, or whether there's space here for entrepreneurs to come up with solutions, maybe sell them to government, or even sell them directly to teachers, if the regulatory framework would allow it, and then teachers maybe would subscribe to do much of that reporting, and then the teachers would be left to just work on their problems. I mean, work on the core objective of teaching, which is engaging with learners.
I mean, the truth of the matter is that there are schools who are implementing that. I promise. I don't think all schools just require their teachers to write reports by hand, and sometimes teachers themselves, actually, I sometimes think that the importance of being AI fluent, is that the teacher themselves, I mean, it doesn't matter what the district director says. They need a report. You've got all these things. They are not sitting there to check that you are spending 15 hours writing the report. They want a report. Use the AI tools to help yourself. I mean, that there's a level at which we need that. And my view is that there's a level at which we need private sector, municipalities, and so on. Because, for example, for me, as my medical aid, they've done a connection with my home doctor who's got details. Whether I do the tests, infant as DOP or whatever, my home doctor gets the data, gets the information on the app, and he knows I did a blood test wherever, I did a kidney test wherever, I'm busy with eye testing wherever. They've got it there, and they at any one time can give a history of my health in a way. They don't need government to do that, but of course that's a private service. But I think what my concern about in this session and why Estonia is interesting is I want my municipality to serve me better. I want my country to serve me better. I don't want to sit here, just like I didn't want to sit and be surprised by load shedding. I don't want to be sitting here until there's a by-election in my ward and I don't even know. Do you see what I mean? As simple as that. There's a new school that's just being opened across the road, and I hear when I go to church, if I don't go to church somewhere, I have no idea. Like there's certain services that there's a big pothole somewhere that we should actually reroute driving to work and not go through that road because it's dangerous. Do you know what I mean? It's like there's certain things, and I'm mentioning basic things, but there's bigger things that local government and national government can help us with. Just using AI, that will not require much. It will not require us, as Chaba says, firing people, because they can work with individuals. But they need to have a platform as a city, as a province, as a country, that we know I go there and I get all the information, or it will prompt me that my license is expiring. I won't be surprised at a roadblock that it expired 3 months ago.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Sorry, Prof. To your case, I just want to squeeze this in because I can see we well beyond the time slot available.
Yes.
But in mentioning what individuals can benefit and what is available to them, but they're not aware unless they go to church, which equals to hearsay.
Yeah.
And it's not me advertising these things because they're public and they're out there. It's just you need to talk to the right person. We have FLISP, which is a subsidized housing program in the country.
Yeah.
We've got the Township and Rural Entrepreneurship Program. We've got the Township Economy Partnership Fund. We've got the Cooperative Incentive Scheme. And what this does is that it avoids scamming, which is inherently from the hearsay. But if you are a South African citizen and you're like, you know what, I don't think the country has anything to provide me, it's most probably because you're not attuned and you're actually not digging hard enough to find it. But if you bring the government to the people, then they know what's available.
If I have an e-South Africa thing on my phone, then I will know of all these things that exist.
Exactly.
Then I don't have to look for them.
Yeah, Prof. Mamuketi, based on your profile and based on the data that we know about you, you are eligible for these things. Then you decide, should I participate or not? But then it's your choice.
Yeah. Because as it is, as you are saying, Chaba, there's lots of opportunities for entrepreneurs, for youth, for whatever. But many people are not aware because they've got to search for them online or go by hearsay and whatever. So in a way that e-Estonia or e-South Africa or e-Botswana is something that I think every country needs something like that. And we can start. I don't think we should wait any longer. But then right now it's 6:07, and I can see a lot of people are still sitting listening to us, but we've got to bring this to an end. And I have to thank you, Sylvester, with Sechaba. Sylvester, you wanted to say something before we go?
Yes, I just want to make one final comment. So these last 5 days, I've been attending a workshop offered by Google. It was a 5-day intensive agent course on agent development. So agentic AI. So they've been speaking about, how to harness the agentic potential of AI, which speaks to getting AI to do things for you. Like today, if you most of us engage with AI only, when you ask it a question, it speaks to you. But AI can go beyond that, where it makes applications for you, where it makes phone calls on your behalf. It looks into your medical records. If you were to be sick and maybe you faint somewhere, your personal AI can call your doctor, tell them what the issues are, and so on. So I'm thinking about this because what they've done, after the course, they gave us a challenge and said, go and build something. And so there's even some financial incentive there. I think Google is offering some 100,000.
Oh, there you have an assignment. There you have a project then, Sylvester. There you go. How do people get to know about these government services? Build something, and then put these things that, as Chaba was telling us, they exist. These services that exist that people are not aware of. Can they be there? And then people can just get them on the palm of their hands, on the phone. So
I'll share the link to the course. Anyone who just wants to read about, because it was for free.
Yeah.
And you also can build. Yeah.
Yeah. No, we'll you'll give us that. You'll share it on your platform, but we'll also share it as the first comment on the YouTube channel for people who want to get access to it.
Yes.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Mavesta. Chaba, Chaba, thank you so much for your analysis, for proposing Estonia as a case study, but always for being so engaging on the channel and even as part of the FEB academic family. It's really wonderful to have you. And everyone joining us today. Everyone joining us today, Professor Chioma, Jewel, Queen Vivi, everybody, Distinct Mentor, I'll be in touch with you. Please slide into my DM, Distinct Mentor. Thank you so much for engaging with us. Thank you so much for sitting with us throughout the time. I think this has been incredibly useful, and I'm grateful to Sylvester and Chaba for joining me. Have a good evening, everyone. See you again next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Right, I must stop the session.